Welcome to Recovering Addict. I'm LT
Ow.
and I'm an alcoholic addict. Got me a new hat for Christmas.
Looking mighty fine in that there hat, my sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So we are going out of town to a place where I think a cowboy hat is required. So I acquired one so that I can fit in when we get there. I'm going to walk into any saloon. Oh, no, saloons are out. Any gas station. I'm going to say, howdy, ma'am. And they're going to be like, he must be from here.
Yep.
So I thought I'd wear my cowboy hat tonight. Why not? Anyway, if it's your first time watching, this is a show about addiction and recovery. We want to focus on relapse prevention and education and all this kind of stuff. So there's 3 segments to our show. The first segment, we're going to cover a little history right now, and we're going through the opioid crisis and the Sackler family and what they did and how they sold and created an epidemic since 1997 to the current moment of opioids. Doctors prescribing too many, people getting hooked on Oxycontin and then switching to Mexican heroin that's coming over the border, and this whole, and all the death and pain and suffering around it, and all the institutions that are filled up with people because they are now addicted to this insane addiction of heroin, right? An opiate addiction is one of the most severe addictions that I've seen in the last few years of me being on the front lines of addiction. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to hit on what's the difference between Anheuser-Busch, Coors, and Bud Light. Alcohol. You know, why are we so accepting of one when actually one causes more deaths than the other? Then on our second part of the segment, we're going to go through back in our book called Staying Sober. And in this book, we are on page 135, and we're going to talk about the relapse syndrome is the sobriety-based disease of addiction. And we're going to look at the relapse progression. It goes change, stress, denial, post-acute withdrawal, right? And those kind of just circle around, and we'll get deeper into that. And then the third segment, we have Tracy and Bill who come on the show.
Yay,
And they give us their little insight to what they're going to bring to the table, and we'll answer some questions from the Discord with them. And then bada boom, bada bing, the night is over, and it'll be another hour we've hung out sober. So I'm so glad you all are here. I'm going to let Felice say what's up to everybody, take a drink of water, and then we're going to get into our first article.
Howdy, folks. We got Jim Hartley. 1, 2, Freddy's coming free. Oh, I used to hate this show when I was a kid.
Great, now I'm scared.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock the door. If you see you beautiful addicts and love you too.
Aubrey, if you're watching,
go together.
Aubrey, if you're watching, we got your little Nomi back there.
Boski, thank you for the wonderful Christmas gift.
Love it.
Amanda Cook is here. Welcome.
Hi, Amanda.
Desmond, hello. Green-eyed cat, like, share, and subscribe.
What's up, B?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Share
If
this
you want
out.
support for any addiction, you are never alone getting sober. Betty True, JV, go check him out on the Venture Forward. He'll put the times. Good evening, morning, afternoon, everybody. Happy holidays. It's time to talk recovery. Yes, it is. And I dropped all the links for all the things if you need them. And Petey says, hello, recovering addict family. Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome.
Howdy, partner. Hope you all had your supper.
On deck. What's up, Nicole Brower? Nicole Crabtree is here. And I'm sure Nicole Rollo is here. All the Nicoles. What's up, Jess?
Oh, what's up, Jess?
John V said, howdy, partner.
Howdy.
Hashtag share squad. Share us out if you're on Facebook.
Yes, please share this out. Give it thumbs up. Give it likes. Give it loves.
Yes, please. David Tucker. Hi, recovering family.
And if you're not in the Discord, jump into the Discord with us. Felice is going to be dropping that link throughout the show. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we have daily meetings. Every single day we have recovery meetings in there. We're going to go through audiobooks. We're going to even have movie nights on every once in a while. And it's kind of cool virtually. And another virtual thing is raise your hand, drop it in the comments. Who has access to an Oculus? What is an Oculus? Oculus is a VR headset that looks like this. This is where Facebook is now, right? If you want to be keeping up with what Facebook is doing, this is the place to be. And it is awesome. And inside this, there's a metaverse and an infiniverse. And I've been creating us here at Recovering Addict a room that we can put these on and hang out. We can there's lecture halls. We could go and join a lecture hall and watch videos. And I could teach from this VR to a classroom, and all y'all could be in there. And it's just like we're right next to each other. Obviously, we're not as digital, but it's a cool, fun place. So if you have an Oculus, hit me up on the Discord. Let me know so we can connect and go deeper into the metaverse.
Metaverse. Mike Rose says, I'm a recovering addict. Oxycontin destroyed my family during my episode with the brain strain.
Dang, bro.
6206.
Congratulations on overcoming in that awesome long sobriety date. That is great.
Yeah,
Man,
very
that is, man.
That's a tough one, and you did a great job.
Yeah, man. One of these days, if you ever want to get on here and talk about how and share how you made it possible to come off of heroin and opiates, we'd love to hear about it. So hit us up. Join the Discord. You can talk to us personally. And if you're in the metaverse, you can talk to me face to face.
Basically.
It's pretty cool. So this opioid crisis in the United States, it's never really gone away. Almost every year, more people die of an opioid overdose than in the year before. More than 500,000 people have died from prescription painkillers, heroin, and illicit fentanyl since 1999. I just saw a thing. I can't remember the state that it came out of, but they just busted a dude who had a pound of fentanyl.
A pound?
A
I could
pound.
kill like 1 billion people.
That could kill like the whole United States probably. What is that crap doing being manufactured and being able to put into our, and why are people taking this crap?
By the pound.
Pound.
It's like this much or more. Probably.
And it's like a grain of salt that can kill you. It's insane.
Nuts.
So provisional data from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention estimates that more than 66,000 people died of an opioid overdose in the U.S. in the 12 months to September 2020. A huge jump from the previous 12 months. What they're seeing in these statistics is that opioid deaths and ODs have increased every year since the 90s, right? Since the late 90s. It's not just a crisis destroying communities and plunging countless people into addiction, but it's also a crime. And now that is what we're going to get into in this article. It's a documentary by a filmmaker named Alex Gibney.
You guys should watch it.
It's on HBO. It's awesome. It's called The Crime of the Century. I think it's a 3-part series, 2 maybe. Maybe it's just 2.
I can't remember.
I think it's two hour-long episodes that digs deep into this. And this article is going to be kind of a blast through this documentary. It's a crime, he says, that was committed by a pharmaceutical company, distributors, pharmacists, and doctors. And what were they doing? All looking for a profit. Cha-ching, looking for that money. Many well-known companies and healthcare have been involved in manufacturing and distribution of opioids, including Johnson & Johnson. I don't even know how to say that name. Malcracker.
Malencrocked.
Yeah. Indo International, Allergen, Teva, McKesson, Walgreens, Cardian Health, America's Choice Bergen, CVS, and Walmart. All involved. Big companies wanting money. Big pharma wanting money.
Big crazy backstory about Johnson is they picked it because it's a family-friendly company to lure you into, comfort. And then they super engineered the opiate and made it even stronger. It's nuts.
Let's use Johnson & Johnson, because when people think about Johnson & Johnson, it's a baby in a bubble bath.
Think of babies.
And so they'll take our pills.
It's all crazy.
Lying, manipulative marketing. So pay attention to what a marketing agency is actually saying to you. I mean, you see these drug commercials pop up on the TV all the time. If you experience this, you should take this pill and it'll make you feel so much better. Side effects include,
all the side effects:
nasal diarrhea, butthole inflammation, and all this just ends. You're like, what? I'm not taking that.
With these happy families in the background, so that you're not really listening.
It's insanity.
Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Very happy holidays. So we're holidays.
Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hope you all had a great Christmas. We had a great Christmas. We got to hang out over at the grand folks. Our kids are a little older now, so Christmas is a little different. It's kind of nice. You don't have to do the whole, well, I guess you could if you wanted to, but we don't want to. I'm not very traditionalist, and I don't know. Well, I guess I shouldn't get into that, but Christmas was awesome. We bribed the kids to let us just go buy them stuff, and then we got up and went and had breakfast at Grandpa's, and then went to Grandma's and got to do the big Christmas celebration and gift opening there, and the kids were spoiled by Grandma as always, and it was a great Christmas. Long story short, we had a wonderful, amazing Christmas. We are blessed beyond, well more than we deserve.
Yes.
But back to this article. Purdue Pharma is often singled out. So you have this huge opioid epidemic. You got marketing scandals. You got doctors involved. You got companies selling this stuff from pharmacies, right? Walgreens, Walmart, CVS. All that stuff is involved in this supply chain and command from the manufacturing of this drug through all the proper channels until it finally hits the person's hand and he pops it in his mouth, right? Tons of people involved, but Purdue Pharma is singled out. And why are they singling them out? Because they are considered the ones that sparked the opioid crisis with aggressive marketing. And they marketed a drug called Oxycontin in the 1990s. It was a marketing campaign designed to spread the use of opioids from immediate use after major surgery or end-of-life cancer pain to widespread use of all sorts of pain medication. Gibney says, on this assertion, which is really nothing more than that by Purdue, that you really can't get addicted. So opioids, we went through last Sunday how opioids have been around for 4,000 plus years. And during that 4,000 plus years, we've known the effects of opioids, that they are very dangerous and can kill you if you take too much, and they are very addicting. And there's the history to prove it. And all of a sudden we get to Big Pharma, Purdue, they start marketing this stuff and saying, nah, you don't need to use it just when you're at the end of your life or you have stage 4 cancer. You sprained your ankle, take this kind because we made it non-addictive. What? And then they pretend like it didn't even happen. So that's kind of why all fingers right now are pointing at Purdue. They've been charged with felonies, and we'll get into that. That they marketed this like it's safe to take. You're not going to get addicted. So that's why Purdue is really under the thumb, under the eye, as far as like all the people involved, right? And in particular, members of the Sackler family, right? Because they own Purdue and they've denied any wrongdoings, and they're seeking immunity from future lawsuits in exchange for giving up control of their company and paying a $4.2 billion settlement. They maintain that they've always conducted themselves ethically and legally.
Okay.
And then Purdue sought Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And they did that with protection in 2019. So this is all brand new stuff. And just recently, a judge has overturned that. So it could possibly be that the Sackler family is going to be responsible for this opioid crisis because it was there pushing, and there's all this proof, this pushing sales, pushing marketing. And we looked at a little clip of their cells last time, sell freaking Oxy, rocking out and having fun. And, it's crazy. Anything?
Pat, he hollers, says, nice cowboy hat.
Thanks, sir. I named it Rip.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
Where's my Rip? Gotta put my Rip on.
I gave you some dark sunglasses.
You need a Beth shirt.
I know. I need to go Beth.
That's what we're gonna be for Halloween. I'll be Rip, you be Beth.
Perfect.
And then we'll beat the crap out of Linky.
Done.
Go clean them stalls, boy. Make him clean up Megan's crap. Yeah.
Make him sleep in the barn.
You deserve nothing. All right. So when we get into this article, what it's going to be is a question and answer. You're going to hear the questions from the interviewer to the interviewee, right? The interviewer being the person of this morning edition, to Gibney, the producer of this documentary. So Dr. Lynn Webster, okay, let's go back just a little bit. So Gibney talked with Morning Edition, and that's who we're talking about, how the opioid crisis took off over the past 20 years with the help of lobbyists, money, and doctors, and the role of the Department of Justice. Dr. Lynn Webster, and this one kind of hits close to home, who Gibney talks about in the interview, responds to an NPR that he or his colleagues have treated thousands of patients for over 30 years. He says, tragically, some patients died not because of the treatment, but in spite of it. Webster says millions suffer from chronic pain, which is its own crisis. So this Webster guy is like, pain is the crisis. For a subset of the chronic pain population, opioids can be effective without incidents of abuse or overdose. Moreover, opioids represent their only hope when there's no other option. You're in such pain, opioids is in that show, I think they talked to him and they're like, yeah, opioids can get rid of any pain. You just got to keep taking more. And eventually it completely kills the pain because it kills you.
Because you're dead.
The conversation with Gibney has been edited for clarity and length. So this is a conversation between this article's writer and Gibney. First question is, you say Purdue was pushing doctors to expand the definition of pain. Purdue was pushing doctors to expand the definition of pain. Gibney says this now, they were pushing doctors to expand the definition of breakthrough pain, and definitely pushing doctors to accept the idea that pain was a fifth vital sign. Remember, we talked about that last week. You got your heart rate, your temperature. What was the other one? Blood pressure and your breathing.
Yeah,
Respiratory. And then they said, well, you better check their pain too, because that's vital. And so they got doctors to say that checking pain was the fifth vital sign that they needed to check. That's why we had those little 1 through 10 with the grimmest face all the way at the 10. What pain are you experiencing? Oh, have some opiates. So they started manipulating and redefining what pain is through these little charts. It says that there was nothing more important than treating these patients' pain. And even if it was a knee pain for an 18-year-old from a sports injury, and he quotes him as saying, okay, have some Oxycontin, it'll be fine. And don't worry, you won't get addicted. You know what I mean? So a young teenager, and I know a girl personally who was a college student on the college cheer team, one of the high flyers, the one that would do flips. She landed, cracked one of her vertebrae, ended up at the doctor. Guess what she got? Oxycontin. Guess what happened? Years of heroin abuse, to the point where one of her boyfriends OD'd in the bathroom and she found him dead, all because when she was young, she had a pain and they had prescribed her opiates. And the next question is, that may not be morally reprehensible to a lot of people, but was any of that illegal? So was it illegal? Is it okay that the doctors are doing what they're doing? And was it okay for Purdue to push it the way they're pushing it? And this guy says, well, it depends. Purdue, the company, did plead guilty to felony and misbranding. And there was a rather robust prosecution memo from the Department of Justice, which we were able to obtain a copy of, which actually was prepared to indict a number of Purdue executives for a series of felonies, including fraud, misrepresentation, and conspiracy to commit fraud. So they have a stack of papers about these executives at Purdue, which is a lot of the Sackler family, that they were doing this fraudulently and illegally. And Purdue pled guilty. So was it legal? No, not at all. You allege that it was essentially covered up, shelved for political reasons. So all that stuff was covered up. What? He says, yes, we don't know exactly, but we tried very hard to find out exactly how it happened. But we do know that a number of senior prosecutors at the Department of Justice found this 120-page prosecution memo extremely convincing. And so they were shocked and surprised when the Department of Justice itself, after pressure from representatives of Purdue, notably former U.S. DOJ officials like Mary Jo White and Rudy Giuliani, decided not to prosecute the executives and to work out a deal that essentially held Purdue, the company, criminally responsible. So they were like, yeah, they just pushed it aside. A number of executives pled guilty to misdemeanors. A fine was paid, but most importantly, the key evidence in the prosecution memo was never revealed. It was buried. We contend in the film that hundreds of thousands of lives were lost as a result of that burying that evidence. Not good. Go ahead.
Thank you, MC. Wellness and Relapse Show. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. I did a video on this. Quote, happy holidays.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
And everybody check out that video.
Jim says that once they said pain was a reason for high blood pressure and could cause irregular heartbeats, it really kicked off the pain pills. Yes, that is the misbranding. They labeled it falsely as non-addictive.
Hey, Todd. Welcome to the show.
What up, Todd?
Yeah, you're in pain, and that's what's increasing your heart rate and your blood pressure, not that triple cheeseburger, extra large fries, and milkshake you have every day from Mickey D's. Let's not talk about that. Just take some Oxy. You'll be fine.
Oh, shoot. I accidentally left my studio.
And Fleece is out of here. So it says, I want to get into some of the personal narratives that you tell through this film, specifically a woman named Carol Bosley, who died of an opioid overdose in 2009. Her doctor was a man named Lynn Webster. Can you tell us about him? And this is the one I was suggesting that hits a little close to home. It's kind of weird. Lynn Webster was a kind of key opinion leader. He received speaking fees. He got paid from a number of key pharmaceutical companies, including Purdue. Okay. They're like, hey, here's some money. Go talk about the benefits of this drug, Oxycontin, and how opioids aren't that bad. Okay. And he's like, okay, I love money. I'll do that. And he was one of these pain opinion leaders. That's what they called him, a pain opinion leader. It's his opinion. I love how Lish always talks about that. You can read all the psychology books you want, but at the end of the day, it's that dude's opinion. And that's all this was this guy's opinion. So it was his skill in selling. He was a salesman. He was a propaganda salesman that convinced you that it was okay to take these Oxycontins, right? So he was one of these opinion leaders who was trying to preach the gospel of the opioid. The idea that no dose was too high. No dose is too high, he says. That pain, the pain was the issue, not the addiction. And he ran a pain clinic, and the name of this pain clinic is the Life Tree Pain Clinic. And guess where it is? Salt Lake City, Utah. We're about 30 minutes from this guy. And one of his patients was a woman named Carol Bosley, who suffered a terrible neck injury as a result of a car accident, and he was treating her for her pain. She became terribly addicted to opioids as a result of her prescription to a number of narcotics. Her husband became terribly concerned. And her husband, they interviewed this guy during this film. And he's like, as soon as she started going to see this doctor guy, she was out of it. She'd fall asleep in the weirdest places and wake up, and she wouldn't believe him. Like, honey, you just fell asleep in the laundry basket. She's like, bull crap. And he's like, okay, fine. So he started documenting and taking pictures of her, and she would fall asleep off the couch, in the laundry basket, over just by on the sink, just laying there, because, opiates, you just nod out. And so they got her to get away from this doctor and get off of him. And she started coming back to normal, but then he insisted, I'm the doctor. I know what's best for her pain, put her back on these opiates and about another 5 different types of pills or more. And long after that, she died of an OD after her. So moral of that story is always question your doctor. We went through a thing with Link, our son, who was in a terrible accident, crushed his head. Y'all know the whole story. And we questioned every single move they made, and was, pushed them off some that we thought were bad and pushed them towards the ones we thought were good. And it ended up working that way. So
at the end of the day, really, you're in charge of your own health.
You're in charge of your own body. You ain't got to listen to them.
They have to do what you say.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you don't think it's right, then it's probably not.
Double check. Get second, third opinions. And don't go just taking a handful of pills because this guy tells you it's okay. All right. So this doctor here in Salt Lake who pressured this lady to continue to take the pills that her husband knew were bad for her until she OD'd, he maintains that he has done nothing wrong. All over the country, we should say, doctors were doing this. And it was happening everywhere. He wasn't the only one by any stretch of the imagination. He believed that he was helping, didn't he? Did he really believe he was helping? This is the response from the producer. I think he did. He's like, yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he thought he was helping. I think that one of the problems that enters into the equation that's even bigger than the opioid crisis is the problem of economic incentives in medicine. And nowhere is that more evident than the opioid crisis, where the incentive, whether you internalize it, whether you recognize it consciously or not, is to prescribe more and more and more because you're making more money. But I think that's what's disconcerting, is that many people died of overdoses at Webster's clinic. And so many people were dying that it caused the medical examiner to look into it and ultimately caused the DEA raid on his place. So what that's saying is that there were so many people ODing from this guy's clinic that the medical examiner was like, what is going on here? DEA raids this dude's joint. Right? Which is a good thing. Shut him down. Anything?
Yeah, for sure. Just welcoming, saying hi to Sober Bear.
Hey, Sober Bear. Nice to see you.
He says Salt Lake.
Sorry for all the opinions, he said. Salt Lake meets Yellowstone.
The problem with the U.S. healthcare system, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, ma'am.
Crazy
yes,
thing
ma'am.
about that lady is the doctor probably only seen her like twice. It was like,
oh yeah, that's another thing. She's like, I don't hardly ever see the guy. I just go in there and one of the PA, what do they call them? The nurse ladies would look at me and say, "Here you go. Here's he signed it. Go fill it." So back to Nicole's comment about, thank you, Lone Wolf. He's all nice hat.
Yeah. What's up, Brandon?
So we're seeing that it's an entire system, right? I mean, obviously Purdue's getting the finger pointed at them for their aggressive, manipulative marketing, but it went all the way down to the people that were able to get registered by the state to be able to write scripts, right? Because they were getting a lot of money too. So you also paint a picture that it's an entire system. We're talking about the doctors, the drug companies, the manufacturers, the salespeople, and the pharmacies. Has a system that allowed this to happen been dismantled in any way over the past couple of years? So have they fixed the problem of this chain and supply command or demand? He said, nope, not at all.
I think they actually made it easier.
Yeah. He says, I think there is now some, what's that word?
Where are you at?
This one. I better look this word up.
Yeah. Reticence?
Reticence.
The quality of being reticent.
Thank you. I love when the dictionary gives you that kind of definition. Cool. That didn't help at all.
So he says, I think that there is now some reticence to prescribe opioids as liberally as a doctor had done back in, say, the late 90s and early 2000s. That has changed. And the CDC's issue guidelines, which have changed things. But now one of the big problems is that an enormous demand has been created because you have a lot of people who are addicted. So now that's another problem that they face, the Oxycontin reserve. So yeah, they've slowed down how much they prescribe, right? So now you got this huge problem. You got these pill mills flinging Oxycontin to every person they could find. They're getting paid tons of money. So they're prescribing it to anybody that stubbed their toe up to cancer. Now you have this huge addiction rate of people. And now what do? You just take away the addicted pills. You know, you take away the Oxycontin and the Loratabs and all that stuff, and you slow that down to them. What happens? They switch.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a big, enormous demand has been created because you have a lot of people who are addicted. And suddenly the now illicit fentanyl market has entered into the country in a way that has become ever more dangerous and ungirded by a system that really doesn't have a proper attention paid to those who are addicted or understanding of how the supply and demand is working when it comes to these dangerous drugs. It almost sounds designed to me.
It seems like they didn't learn the first time what this happened when they were selling that stuff over the counter as cough medicine, and they made it illegal, and all the housewives were addicted and getting it all bootlegged and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't learn. People don't learn.
It's crazy. But can we really be that mad at Purdue? Can we really be that mad at the Sackler family? I mean, I guess because of the trust value there, you go to the doctor, and this guy knows you more intimately than anybody, right? More than you want to reveal yourself to anybody in the world, the doctor gets to know about you. And so there's this huge trust value. And I think America feels like this trust has been broken. Because when you look at the statistics on alcohol, right? Let me look at this up real quick. Where's my?
While he's looking that up, what's up, Cherie? She says, you guys are early today. Yes, we are. She said, howdy, Weavers.
Howdy. Howdy, ma'am.
JV says, it's catching on. Feel like I need to go get me one, partner. Hashtag cowboy hat.
I love it. So this is April 19th, 2021. In the midst of the opioid epidemic, the United States has been quietly experiencing another mounting public health crisis as deaths involving alcohol have grown to historic highs. After years of stability, the rate of alcohol-related deaths began to increase in 2007. It has increased significantly almost every year since, according to vital statistics from the U.S. Center of Disease and Control. Because alcohol contributes to so many diseases, it is challenging to calculate and complete a death toll for alcohol. However, even as conservative estimates that count only cause of deaths that are 100% attributable to alcohol yields a rate of 10.4 deaths per 100,000. 100,000 people die, 10.4% of those deaths, 10.4 of those deaths are alcohol. It's 49% higher in the US. And that's been growing since 2006. So I calculated it, and it's like, what was it? 30,000 or 94,000 deaths per year from alcohol. So I did the math on the same time that the opioid crisis from 2000 to right now was like 500,000 deaths from opioids. It's like 1.6 million deaths due to alcohol. And their marketers are no different. You watch a football game, you see Budweiser, everybody's having fun, the party's awesome. Or you watch the whiskey commercials, it looks so elegant and sophisticated and smart, when the tragic effects of alcohol or the dark side of alcohol is completely opposite of that, right? So you look at 1.5 million deaths of alcohol over the last 20 years compared to the 500,000 deaths. That's a million more than the opioid crisis, but yet we're so upset about the opioid one. Why is there a difference in that? What do you think? Put in the comments of why you think it's okay, or why we don't even really look at the alcohol epidemic that's right there beneath the opioid epidemic. And we saw in 2020 a huge increase in all of that: alcoholism, suicide. And suicide's a horrible thing, right? And that's all due to opiates and alcohol and this crazy 2020 that happened. But what do you think the difference is between why we're so upset about the opioid crisis compared to alcohol, and what alcohol has been doing to, you got a drunk driver that'll wipe out a family of innocent people. And that's just being swept under the rug, doesn't make the headline news, but the Sackler family and the billions of dollars, and I don't really see a difference. You? Go ahead.
My opinion? I think the spike is what got people thinking. I think had like the opiates been like alcohol, just kind of steady, always climbing, but where there was a huge whoop, we're like, what just happened?
Jamie says, LT, please tip your hat periodically throughout the video. Yes, ma'am.
You got it. Let's see. She also says,
oops, sorry.
Because alcohol is glorified, romanticized, socially acceptable stigma around drug addicts. That too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you look at a drug addict and a drunk, and I don't know. It's a tough debate. It's a tough topic. Our capitalism has turned into socialism. People are not happy, and they look for ways to cope with the pain of medication. That's a fact.
Pain by medication.
That's a fact, and they're pumping it.
Not medication.
I think I got it. And we understood them. Awesome. All right. So that is 8:03 now. We're going to jump into our book, Staying Sober.
Alcohol is the devil.
Alcohol is the devil. It's a horrible drug. What do they say in NA readings? Alcohol is a drug. And everybody in the room goes, period. Right? And it is. And it's killing people faster than opiates. And it's okay. It's the only drug you have to explain and justify why you don't use. You don't drink? What? Why not? Because I don't.
Or is it?
If you've been watching 1883, you'll see that Sam Elliott doesn't drink. He's sitting in there drinking water or something like that. And she's like, you don't drink? He's like, nope.
It's like our...
What are you doing in here then? I'm looking for a reason.
I mean, you go back to like Prohibition days and they tried to get rid of alcohol, but people want it.
Oh, yeah.
So they brought it back. And then you try to get rid of opiates, but people want it.
Those guys were crazy that were smuggling alcohol. Like the bootleggers. Because it's liquid, man. You can't really shrink the size of liquid. You can compress weed into this little cube, spread it out and sell a bunch of it. And fentanyl's getting super small. Heroin, you can package real small and tight. But liquid, you got to transport jugs of glug, 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 glug. Those guys were crazy.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into like why one and not the other, and why this and not that. Because like there's people's human nature. Like we automatically want to be addicted to something, whether it's candy, sugar, chocolate, nicotine, heroin, Oxycontin, alcohol. And then you try and take those things away, and then they just replace it with something else. And who knows? So much that goes into it. Alcohol is chronic. Opiates are acute. That's why you see young people in NA and older people in AA. That's true. Alcohol kills you far slower than opiates.
That's true.
That might be one of the big outrages. You see the death a lot sooner than you do in alcohol.
Yeah, because even that article said that it's so challenging to get a death toll from alcohol because it contributes to so many diseases. You got liver failure, cancers, all the garbage that it just does, heart disease. And then you got the immediate deaths of drunk drivers. And, you might have somebody like, I always refer to Amy Winehouse, but she quit for a while and then went back to drinking just like she used to. And your tolerance is so low that like right now, if I went back to drinking, I guarantee I would try to drink a fifth, and I would drink it fast, and it could, because I haven't had a sip in 2.5 years or so, it would kill me. It's very highly possible. But opiates, one shot and that's it. You're done. Just like that girl in the show. What's that movie we like to watched about heroin? Dope Sick. Yeah, that girl there, she's like, send off. Let's just do one more send off. You know, a lot of people do that before they enter into an IOP or they're getting ready to quit. You know, like just one more time. Let's do a good send off. Let's make this shot a little bit bigger because I need, you know, and then boom, they're dead. I remember thinking that too. I'm like, oh, this is my last night I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink it real good tonight. Well, I drink it real good every night. You know, what was the difference? And then I'd wake up, my mind would be changed. Never mind, I don't want to quit.
Well, we do that with diets too. You're like, I'm going to start a diet tomorrow, so I'm going to eat a whole cake.
Yeah, we do.
Not really any difference in any of it.
Switching gears now. We are in our book, Staying Sober. The relapse syndrome is a sobriety-based disease of addiction. Okay. We're talking about relapsing. We're talking about post-acute withdrawal. You've done opiates for so long that it's rewired your brain chemistry. It does that with any type of drug. Any type of poison you've been putting in your body over a long period of time is going to rewire and restructure things inside your body. It's poison to your body. It's giving you're doing damage to your body. On top of that, you start living a lifestyle to feed this addiction. And this lifestyle becomes a habit, right? Of survival to get high. What wouldn't you do to get your next fix, to get your next sack of meth or your next shot of heroin? How far in the snow would you have walked to get a 30 rack of beer or a fifth of whiskey? What kind of manipulations did you do with your time so that you could make it to the liquor store because you knew they were going to be closed over the holidays, so that you always had enough? I mean, all the mental gymnastics that you did to make certain that you always had your drug of choice. All that becomes a super embedded habit. And that, usually is ruining relationships, telling lies, being very manipulative. And you have to correct all those things. And your body's going to be going through changes as it's starting to heal. Your habit of being a prick, your character defects are going to be on full display. On top of that, your emotions, you're going to feel in a different way than you've ever felt before. And so you're trying to repair all this stuff. And so how do we go about repairing all this stuff without it being so overwhelming that we end up back in relapse? And that's by working a steady daily program. Every morning you start. And I've heard people say, if you've been up longer than me today, you have more clean time than I do, because I consider today the only day that I consider myself clean. Because it's a daily battle, 24 hours of time, one day at a time we do, right? And that's what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Pat, he hollers, I need to turn down my aftershocks. Your swag is too loud, Yellowstone.
Aftershocks? I got some aftershocks.
Is this a Stetson commercial? We saw some Stetsons today.
This is a Justin, sir. I don't know where Justin.
Jim says I would have robbed a mother for my next 30 pack.
Oh, my volume is up. I'm sorry. I have it. So I have to turn my volume up for Zoom, and I have to turn it down for StreamYard. Thank you for pointing that out. Cowboys in recovery.
We're going to start the group.
Cowboys in recovery. Jim said I would have robbed my own mother for my next 30 pack. And that's what we're talking about. That type of mindset that's going to cause you to do stuff that you wouldn't normally do, right? You have to heal and refigure out how to cope and deal with life without that being your first reaction of being mean or manipulative in any situation. The relapse syndrome can destroy your health and well-being. It can destroy your family and your lifestyle. It is the sobriety-based disease of addiction. Just because you're abstinent from your drug of choice does not mean you're not in an addictive mindset and still living that old stinking thinking, right? It can be devastating to the recovering person. So we try to become aware of these things. That's why we study what character defects are for. That's why we're always looking at ourselves. What did I do today? Why did I react like that? And how can I change it so that when these things start arising, you know what to do and how to battle and how to bob and weave through your recovery without it leading back to relapse. Many recovering people believe that if they are not using, their recovery is fine. And guess what? That is a mistake. I quit, I'm good. Wrong. Look at your past, look at your history. And if you're not trying to change from that person you were, if you're still that same type of person, it's been said, and I've seen it a lot of times when somebody quits, their family members are like, I don't like him sober. I wish he would have stayed drinking or using, because they become worse. The relapse process begins long before the person begins using. So the relapse progression looks like this. I'll show it up on the screen. If you want to take a screenshot, you're more than welcome. Move your eye.
I almost had it.
There it is. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that, and you can see this relapse progression. Change, stress, denial, post-acute withdrawal, and those kind of circle and circle. Then all of a sudden your behavior changes. Then you get a breakdown of social structure, loss of control or judgment, loss of behavior and control, option, reduction, acute, degeneration, addictive use. And it's all a line right back to using if you don't stop those as they make them self-aware. And a lot of times you don't know they're aware. That's why you got to get into recovery. That's why they say do 90 and 90 meetings. You got to replace the time you were using with time around people who can help guide you through why you're going through and feeling the way that you're feeling. You start recognizing these things. You start learning these things. You learn. And you put these things into action. Anything else?
JV, just shouting out Tracy and Bill at the bottom of the hour. Get your questions in the Discord so we can answer them.
Remember that it begins silently within you. Relapse begins silently within you. For a long period of time, you will not be aware of the progression because it is taking place subconsciously. There will be external warning signs, but you will not acknowledge them even to yourself unless you have learned to recognize the predictable pattern. People around you will probably not recognize them either because the relapse symptoms often look like the symptoms of other disorders. The relapse syndrome is reversible with appropriate treatment by learning to recognize the stages in the relapse process. It is possible to interrupt the progression. It is possible to interrupt these progressions. That's why we go through these books. That's why we stay connected. That's why we never stop learning. Meow. Hey, what's up, Twitch? Twitch. How's this actually? Wow, thank you very much. And thank you for watching from that side of the world. So interrupting the relapse syndrome. Managing the symptoms of post-acute withdrawal is the best method of relapse prevention. However, when you are already in an episode of dysfunction, it may be too late to utilize those methods, and you will need some help to become stabilized and to prevent further progression. The first thing to do is utilize an adequate, controlled environment where you can be protected from immediate crisis and from the availability of alcohol and drugs. You got to remove yourself from high-risk situations, put yourself in a room, in a meeting, call a friend, call a sponsor, get around people who are going to help you as you're going through this time of what it feels like to be insanity. If the episode is mild, sometime in a quiet, calm environment will probably be sufficient for you to begin to reverse the process. If the situation is moderately severe, it may be necessary for you to take time off work and to plan some time away from places and people that intensify the problem. You got to do whatever it takes for your recovery. If the relapse symptoms are severe, possibly need to go to the hospital before it occurs, before you have a severe breakdown or any other type. I don't know what episodes you have experienced. Mine probably goes into the moderate, not to this severe. I don't think I've been to the severe, but I get up into that moderate sometimes, and I have to remove myself and shut off and put my phone aside and just kind of have my alone time, half a day, maybe 2 days, and then gather my emotions and my thoughts back in, and then I'll start texting back out, and then, okay, I'm good. I can come back into reality for a minute and just, you got to do what you got to do for your recovery, and you got to learn by getting around people and experiencing and trying new things and figuring out what's going to work for you. Sometimes people in acute dysfunction episodes believe that if they do not use, they will go crazy or kill themselves. You need to recognize in advance that there are other options available. Go to inpatient treatment. That's one of them. It is better to choose to go to an inpatient program to prevent severe consequences than to go for detoxification. Check yourself in before you use. You can go to the hospital and say, hey, help me out and calm me down, instead of going and using and then going to the hospital. Hell, will you detox me? I've been on a bender for a month, you know. It's better to do that before as you're being tempted. It's better to call a friend than to pick up and use. There are people who would rather die than drink. That is why the rate of suicide is high among recovering alcoholics. This is very sad because it is possible to recover from alcohol or drug use. It is possible, but it is not possible to recover from death. If you ever feel that your life is at risk because your pain is so severe that suicide is an option, seek immediate help. There are other options that are not apparent to you through your pain. It is important for you to recognize and remember there is no point at which you cannot interrupt the relapse syndrome. If you know how to recognize it, know that there are constructive rather than destructive options, and recognize that you have a choice. So you catch yourself feeling out of control. You catch yourself feeling crazy. You have two options in front of you. You always have two options. Always choose the better option. Do I use or do I go to the hospital? Do I use or do I call a friend? Do I continue to work? Tomorrow I got to go to work, but my mental health is going to go insane. I'm going to feel a little bit more crazy by the end of the day tomorrow. Call in sick. Take a health day. It's your life. Do it. Do what's best for your life to get it under control, to be happier, to control the insanity so that you don't go back to using. Always take the better choice of the two. Suicide is definitely not one of the choices.
No.
That being said,
that's too permanent.
I think there's somebody who would like to talk to us about suicide. Let's bring Bill and Tracy onto the show.
The Bill and Tracy Show.
Hello, tribe.
Hi.
Howdy.
What's
Very
up?
happy to see you tonight. So this has been a really serious topic tonight, and we're just wanting to give a little bit of our experience and throw a little hope out there. I'm going to let Bill start tonight.
All right, everybody. I'm Bill, and I'm an addict. After I got clean, I found a person. I married her. She could not get clean. Just before I had 4 years clean, she decided to take her own life, mostly because she wouldn't actually do the work. I can't stress to you how much you need to do the work. You need to find out who you are, what makes you tick. You know, for most addicts, not adhering to your morals and your values is what's going to make you go down. And, you know, I don't know how many times I've been through an IOP course and I would not get it and I would not get it. And finally, when I got it this time is because I wanted it, I came in thinking that I was never going to see any of my kids again or anything else. And I just wanted change. I didn't want to hurt anymore. I can tell you that suicide from the other side of it, I have 2 daughters who I'm sure wonder why they weren't enough for their mother to stay. It says in the book, selfish, self-centered behaviors is the root of our problem. And I can tell you from experience that suicide is probably the most selfish, self-centered thing that a person can do. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose. They don't see any other way around it because they feel completely irredeemable or unacceptable. I feel like this time of year, it's probably way more pertinent than anything else. The reason this is such a hard topic for me is I'm coming up on a 14-year anniversary of this woman committing suicide and me being left with 2 girls to try and figure out how to get them through life. The oldest one still blames herself over some really trivial stuff for her mom doing it. And I don't think her mom did anything like that, but she still struggles with it. The suicidal end of addiction, in which, it's not discussed enough, but when we start to get that way, we really need to go talk to someone. They tell you to pick up that 1,000-pound phone and start calling the numbers on your list. And my sponsor, when I first got clean, told me to get a number from one person at every meeting I went to so that I had a pocket full of numbers, because when the rubber hits the road, you may need to be able to call some people until there's somebody that's going to be able to answer you. We're not gods here. We're not gurus. There's no such thing as a recovery guru, because we are all sick people trying to get well.
Amen.
Thank you.
So to reiterate, y'all, Bill's got dang near 2 decades. In the midst of his recovery, 2 decades clean, in the midst of his recovery, his wife committed suicide. Coming up on an anniversary of that, and guess what he's doing? Staying humble, staying around his tribe, and talking about it. 20 years into recovery.
Couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah.
We love you, Bill.
Love you too.
And his story is what changed my recovery in my life. That's why we go and we talk about these things. I was at a point in my recovery that I had done all the steps. I had tried to go back to Michigan to make amends because I was really sick at the time. And I wasn't sure how long I was going to have. And so I pushed those 9-step amends on my family that wasn't quite ready for those amends. And it went really bad. And I immediately picked up and ended up back here. And it was 2 weeks before Christmas when this happened. And I relapsed after having gone through all the steps, going to all these meetings, thinking I had this. I was graduating, I could do this. I wanted my family to see how amazing I was now. And it totally threw me off. And I found myself alone on Christmas Eve, sad and thinking that my family would be better off without me. And I was scared and alone. And I got in my car and I drove all the way from Utah to Laguna Beach. And I had plans to drown myself that morning, but I wanted to see one last sunrise. And as I was taking off my boots, I had made a video to my kids, and my phone rang at 5:30 in the morning. And it was a woman in recovery that was out of the country. And so she didn't realize the time. And she was just wanting to wish me a Merry Christmas. And it was enough for me to stop and think about, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to destroy my family's Christmas for the rest of their lives. And so I called a friend in recovery. I went to a meeting in Laguna Beach. I got me a cup of coffee and I made it back to Utah. I did not reach out and get help when I got back here. I didn't talk to my family about it. I didn't even tell my sponsor about it. And I just kept getting darker and darker and deeper. I tried to pour myself into work. And within a few months, by Easter morning, I got a hold of a whole bunch of drugs, and I don't even remember going and getting them, but I just remember being pulled out of a bathtub. And I knew at that point that I should have been dead, and God intervened for me. And I realized the one thing that was really missing in my recovery was this huge spiritual malady. That I was not looking for a higher power. I didn't feel worthy of a higher power. I felt like this whole world would just be better if I wasn't in it. And Bill was a really good friend of mine in recovery. He'd been through a lot of stuff with me over the last couple years. And I called him and told him that, I was going to the hospital. And when I got out a few weeks later, he's like, I've been waiting for you to get 6 months together. Let me hold your hand and walk you through this. And I got to meet his family, and, things developed and we became a couple. But then I realized that at that point that suicide does not end my pain. Suicide multiplies onto our family and everyone that loves us. And I am very blessed to have these beautiful girls, bonus daughters in my life, and like one of them, I got to suit up and show up and help her put on her wedding dress. And she calls me bonus mom. And I love them dearly. And I put my family through so much hell for years because we had so much trauma in our life, and I just couldn't get out of the darkness and do the work to come out and be a part of their lives, That's not my life today. It was 4 years ago yesterday that I had gone to Laguna Beach, and I got to spend Christmas this year for the first time with most of my family. And my daughter pulled me aside in the kitchen. She's like, Mom, I am so proud of you. I love you so much. Recovery has totally changed your life, and I have a mom now. And that was like the greatest gift I could get for Christmas, you know. I got to be there with my family, with my parents. I get to be a daughter today. I get to be a wife today. I get to be a real mom today. And I got my 27th grandbaby due anytime. Together, we made this big, huge family. And, you know, opiates and stuff can really just destroy people's lives. We got to watch his dad pass away from alcohol. You know, the doctors kept saying, if you don't quit drinking, you're going to not make it. And it was really hard to see. And I didn't think of that being a suicidal thing, but it actually is. When you get to a point and your body can't take it no more, and you just can't or won't quit, you are committing suicide, and you're leaving your loved ones behind without a legacy. And, you know, it makes it really hard during the holidays. But this year we did a little different, and we're making new memories. And, you know, and if you're out there and you're struggling, reach out, call a sponsor, get on the Discord, contact any one of us from the Recovering Addict group. We will sit, we will talk to you, and, you know, and get professional help. You know, life does not have to end. Life can be so much greater than you ever can even imagine. And I am a miracle living proof of that. So love ya.
There is one other thing I wanted to touch on concerning the opioids. My first wife, she crawled out of a second-story window when she was like 18 months old. And the doctors back then, you know, medical's come a long way since then, but they didn't realize that she had broken her vertebrae in her neck. And so she kept getting headaches when she was like 11, 12, 13. Her father, being a dentist, thought he knew well and what to do, and he started giving her Loratabs at the ages of 10, 11, and 12, and she never was able to come back from that.
So be careful. Watch your children. You know, we know kids get hurt, but there's a lot of other ways that you can deal with pain in a healthy way instead of taking the chance of losing that child one day. One other example I have is when I first moved here to Utah, I had a cook that worked for me, and I started to tell people that I was in recovery. And he said to me, don't tell people you're in recovery. They're not going to look up to you. And he had a lot of pain, had hurt his back. And just a couple days later, he went to the doctor, and they changed his opioid medication. And that night, after that same day they changed his opioid medication, he didn't wake up the next morning. So be very, very careful if you are on some medication, that the doctors know exactly what's going on with you and what you've been on, because, you know, it can slowly take you out just so easily.
So true, man. It's crazy, huh? What do you think about the difference between opioids and the alcohol thing I was mentioning? Alcohol's killed a lot more people in the same amount of time.
I think the difference between the opioids and the alcohol is the fact that most people who are on alcohol are self-medicating, and so it's of their own choice. They're not being told by a doctor they need this or anything else. Whereas in opioids, you're being prescribed that by a doctor. He's telling you need this, and you believe that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think the difference is.
And I think also with alcoholism, you're slowly killing yourself and you don't realize that. And with opiates, it can be so quick, so fast, and it's so dangerous. Since I've been here, I've been to 18 funerals. Whoa. And that's all people in recovery. And almost every one of those were under the age of 40.
Wow.
It's just a real epidemic we got going on.
Where is in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Over 2,000 people participated in the 2020 walk in September 11th. That's cool.
That is cool.
I don't know.
Very
We could
cool.
go to part of something like that soon.
Yeah. Road trip.
Jim said he was terrified when he had his leg amputated for the fear of pain meds that the doctors told me I would need for a couple months. What did you do with that, Jim? Did you tell him no? I think y'all know my last experience with pain pills was, I think I had my wisdom tooth pulled or something like that. And they gave me, I don't know, some type of opiate.
Those, I can't remember. It was an oxycodone or something.
Yeah, it was some type of opiate. And I was like, well, I wasn't sure how severe the pain was going to be. So I took them and put them in up in the cupboard just in case, you know, and because I never took opiates. I never liked that feeling. I was the speed guy. I loved speed, either speed or get drunk and get speedy. You know, I didn't like to just sit there and itch my nose. And so, but the addict in me was like, they're there. There's a chance for getting high. There's a freebie. You could do it. It was prescribed. So I was like, damn it. I just flushed him down the toilet. I'm going to put it into this right now.
Yeah. I've heard so many people that have had like multiple years in recovery and have a surgery, and those dang opiates take them back out. It's just awful.
It's crazy because, go ahead, Bill.
I've had several operations or something to do where they were going to prescribe me meds. One of them was they had to rebuild my shoulder because I tore the rotator cuff and split the labrum and all that stuff. I got the Percocet 10s that they gave me. And I had a big fear. I got with my sponsor and a few other people, and I got a plan. I made sure that my mom was here for the first couple of days. So if I did need meds, she made sure I didn't take them too soon or whatever. And I had this big fear in the back of my mind. And you know, what's really funny is it had been so long since I had been on anything like that. Cause I used to take Percocet 10s and drink all night. For some reason, I like that buzz. I took one of those pills the day after because they put a nerve blocker in the first day, and I couldn't even lift my head off the pillow without wanting to throw up. My head was spinning so bad. And I thought to myself, you used to function like this. I couldn't believe that I used to function like that. Now I have another story. I had a vein taken out of my leg, and they prescribed me Loratabs, and I don't know what the difference is, but the Loratabs were harder to come off of, and I couldn't. I don't know what the difference was, but I really had to work hard with my sponsor on making sure that I got rid of those, and didn't let it take me out.
Wow. Yeah. So if you're in recovery, the point of the whole this thing is if you go to the doctor, you got to be careful with what they're going to give you. It could tickle your addict. You can justify reasons that you need it and use it. Mm-hmm. You know, my counselor, when I was in my IOP, always told me, you know, the whole get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that has to do with pain. And he would take ice baths to try to keep his body and his mind resilient to pain, because it's okay to be in pain. It won't kill you. You know, it's just uncomfortable and it sucks. But our addict minds and that instant gratification and that instant relief of pain, you know, whether it's emotional or physical, we want the easy fix. And if a doctor gives us a reason and a justification to take one, our addict brains will go haywire talking us into it. And we just go right along. Yep. You're right. And, you know, like you said, you either get addicted again or you could possibly OD.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of things out there you can do and try, like, you know, the breathing techniques. I had 3 natural bursts, and I'm telling you, if you use proper breathing techniques, you can get through a whole lot of pain and get your mind to a different place to be able to get through it. You know, like you said, baths, that I take detox baths when I'm in a lot of pain, because I've had some cancer and sometimes my kidneys and stuff will really bother me. And I'll take 2 cups Epsom salt, 1 cup peroxide, 1 cup baking soda, and put some essential oils in it. Get it as hot as I can and just soak. And it's amazing the pain relief that it can let go of. And especially if I put on meditation music and just kind of breathe through it, you know, try a lot of other things before you decide to pick up the opiates.
Pat says ridiculousness on MTV helps him because it reminds me of the chaos that drinking causes.
Great reminder.
Sorry, we laughed. He said, please don't laugh. But it's true. I like watching those like drunk fails. It's like, man, alive. I used to be like that. I used to enjoy it.
My daughter compared me to the mother on Shameless once, so I started watching it to see what she'd seen in me, and I'm like, I was so offended. I'm like, I am so not like Monica. And then the more I watched, I'm like, oh, I probably was. That poor kid. The hell I put my kids through growing up. You know, it's weird that some of these shows, like The Maid, I just watched that series recently, and to see what it's like from the opposite side view. And how much we as addicts and alcoholics affect the co-addict, you know, and how that they can get all just as messed up and have such a hard time at living life on life terms because we beat them down so much. It's just a crazy, crazy thing we go through.
The show 28 Days, one of the things that they show in there is an addict who wants to just get high one last time, and she dies from it. And it's probably the most, I want to say, real depiction of what can happen when you're using opioids. The girl did one shot while she was in rehab, and she probably used what she was using before she got in there, and it was so much that it took her out.
Damn.
You know?
I want to say congratulations to Matt Crabtree right there.
Woohoo! Matt!
He said
Go,
he's
Matt,
had
go.
both his hips replaced a few years ago and was prescribed Oxy, but had a severe reaction, psychotic episodes. He doesn't take those anymore, thank God. But of course, he was drinking. He was self-medicating for the pain. But right now, he has 5 months clean and sober, and he's loving his new life. That's
Right
awesome.
on.
Right on, Matt.
Congrats.
Thank you, JV.
Thanks, John.
On this last RA of 2020.
Look at all those
We just want to thank you for our
twos.
community. We truly are family, and we truly recover better together. Amen to that. Thank you very much. And this is our last episode of 2021, y'all. Thanks for reminding me, John. I maybe should have done a theme around that, but that's how awesome I am at planning.
We did. You wore a cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah. This is my 2021 send-off, y'all.
Peek at his new wardrobe for 2022.
Yeah. Cowboys in recovery coming soon. So it is 2022 next time we see you. This is the last week of December. What should we challenge each other with this week? Any ideas? Linky, you got an idea?
I'm thinking.
I challenge everybody to get an Oculus and join me in the metaverse.
Yeah.
We did.
I'm getting good at that Beat Saber.
I still have yet to put it on.
I got a good one. I challenge everyone over the age of 21 to get RA tattooed on their.
Link says RA tattoos.
7 months. Good job, Amanda.
Heck yeah.
Oh, that's sad though. At the same time, hope your daughter's okay.
Yeah, me too.
And Pat has 20 months clean and sober.
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah. Woo!
Awesome, man. That's almost 2
Yeah.
years.
Sober rodeos, he says.
Sober rodeo. Petey says take him to the train station.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna have to start watching Yellowstone now.
Yeah, you guys better
all
watch
these little
Yellowstone.
things.
All the nuggets.
I love Yellowstone. I think this week everybody should write in their journal one new thing per day. So you'll end up with, Monday through Saturday, right? That's the 31st Sunday? Or is that the first?
Saturday.
Saturday?
31st Saturday.
Okay.
Mm.
So
Are we leaving Saturday?
We're leaving on Friday, so the 31st,
Oh,
I believe,
31st
is
is gonna be
Friday.
Friday.
oh, wow.
I better
Okay.
put that
So
on my calendar.
journal one thing every day that you're going to accomplish next year and have a list of 5 things that you're going to accomplish. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be I'm going to be a millionaire. It doesn't have to be I'm going to have a new car or whatever. Small things that you're going to do that's going to benefit your recovery. 5 things, one a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wake up. First thing you do in the morning is set your intention. I will not use today. Second thing you will do, I'm going to write down something small that I'm going to do daily for my recovery that's going to help me all next year to stay clean and sober. That can look like I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read a paragraph. I'm going to learn more about post-acute withdrawal and understand what my addiction has done to me. I'm going to go be nice to people. I'm going to go and compliment one person every day for the next year in 2022. However that looks for you, write it down 5 days a week. You're going to come up with 5 goals to set. And then Saturday, drop those in the Discord, in the Discord comments for the lives, and we'll go over some, and we'll talk about it on Sunday when you guys see us in a different place.
I got a good one.
Linky's got one.
On the way to work, if your dealer's on that path, take a different route.
Linky says if you're on your way to work, take a different route than you would normally take that would trigger you to use. If your dealer's on that road, if the liquor store's there, find another way to drive. This is going to bring us to our next episode, or the next segment of our episode, and I just love pushing this button. All right, the Discord questions of the day. Jim Hartley says, fear kept me stuck in addiction until I learned to use it to my advantage. Can learning to use fear to our advantage be important? ? How can we learn to do it, and what will the benefits be? Is there good fear and bad fear? How can you use fear to your advantage, and is there good fear and bad fear? I think so. I'm always one that's trying to get out of my comfort zone, and getting out of your comfort zone, it creates fear. And when I see that it's something to do with that, I start having fear of other people, right? What is that? FOP or something? Fear of other people. FOOP. Yeah, FOOP. When I understand I'm going through the FOOP, fear of other people. And what I mean by fear of other people is their opinions. What are they going to think about me? Oh, I can't do this. I can't go try to do this in life because somebody might say. That type of fear, I think, is bad fear. And then if that is the fear that I'm going with, it's like my ego, or, oh, what are they going to think about me if I try to do this? I'm going to conquer that fear. Obviously, you have a moral obligation. You know, if I'm going to go and do something bad, people are going to think bad of me and ruin my reputation. Obviously, it's a moral judgment. If you're on the high side of the moral scale and you're trying to accomplish something for yourself in life, and it's out of the box and people think it might be weird and different, and you're afraid to do it because of what other people might think, I think that's fear that is bad. Press F what other people think is my motto when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Block out the naysayers.
Block out the naysayers.
Yeah, Link.
What do you think, babe?
I think, go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's definitely bad fear. But there's also the good fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was always afraid to get high, so I never did. That's a
Yay!
Oh, come on, that won't hurt you.
Well, right? Or like you're afraid to, I don't know, there's fears that keep you safe, like physically from harm. And then there's fears that are just not in your comfort zone. And you just have to distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think there's both. And they can be
Yeah.
used to your advantage. Go ahead, Tracy.
Absolutely. I think, like, if you're in a situation, you're somewhere and people are starting to drink, even if it's like a holiday party or something, and you are coming to fear that you might use or something, you need to get out. You need to listen to your gut, because before you know it, you'll pick up that drink and not even realize what you have done until it's too late. So that's a good fear to run.
Run.
Or don't go. You know, I've had that situation too, fear that people are going to be using where I'm going to go. And I just told them I'm not coming. You know, it's okay to say no and keep yourself safe.
Peter?
When I first got clean, my mom was asking me for help to clean up a room that my sister had been in before she went to prison. I had to tell my mom that I can't go in that room until I feel a little more secure. Finally, 18 months later, when my mom was getting ready to move, I had my best friend come over and help me clean all the little crystals off the top of the flat surfaces all over in that room.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was. I think we found like 10 pipes that had residue, at least residue in them, and of meth and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, definitely if you're afraid of going into a situation like that, they say you're supposed to, when you're doing any kind of work like that at all, especially if it's a 12-step call and you think there's going to be drugs, you take another recovering person with you, because that helps both of you stay honest.
I think if I were to walk into a room right now and there was meth on the table and, and it was spread out kind of like, paraphernalia, like they were just messing around with it, chopping it up, I would have a hard time resisting just dipping a finger and like, I would. It would be a struggle for me at this point in my recovery, knowing that I could probably get away with it and just get that little buzz and just, yeah, I know I would. I could not be around meth. Like alcohol, I imagine I could walk, I'd be fine. But if there was meth right there on the table, it would be a damn struggle for me. So I would do exactly what Bill said. If I were to have to go help clean up the situation, be like, nope, you guys better come with me.
Absolutely.
I used to have a lot of fear in my life. And when I started recognizing that as a character defect, I took fear and painted it on one side of the rock and took the other side and put faith, because the opposite of fear is faith. And if you can when you realize you're in fear, if you can stop and pray and find some faith in the situation, you can make the choice to do the next best right thing.
Yeah. There is two meanings to fear also: face everything and recover, or F everything and run.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
Teeter, you mind your P's and Q's. You're going to the train station.
Oh, yeah.
John says, had a moment like that on Christmas Eve.
Ooh.
Jim, Mom offered me bourbon cake. I looked at her sideways, laid my serenity tips on the table, and walked away for a minute.
That's a good way to handle something like that.
Cling. Read those.
I have a lot of family members that thought that after I graduated the 12 steps, I was going to be able to go back to partying with them. And when I didn't, they all got a little upset.
Oh, but yeah. It's funny because they feel like you're judged. Oh, you're righteous. You're holier than now, huh? Oh, all the mental gymnastics they're trying to justify their actions for using because they feel guilty,
I know when I was using, one of the first things that I would do when somebody would come out of a rehab center is I would offer to get them high, because in the back of my mind, if they got high, well, that stuff don't work.
Oh, yeah.
Such a bad boy.
Yeah, we're kind of on example display for recovery, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's amazing when you start setting some of those boundaries. Like when I started saying I'm not coming over because I know there's going to be partying and stuff. We had an amazing Thanksgiving this year where they did not drink when we came over. They waited until after we left. And that was like, I felt very honored and respected by them doing so. But they also don't want to lose what they have in their, a mom and stuff now. They realize that, hey, this is real, that you're doing a good thing, and we don't want to be there to self-sabotage you.
Hi, Sky. Good to see you. Long time no talk.
What a cool name.
Yeah, she's awesome. You have to meet Sky. She's been a part of our community for probably 2 years now. She comes to our Zoom meeting. I haven't seen her in a Zoom meeting for a little bit, but miss you, Sky. That's her right there. All right. Some more comments and questions from the Discord. Trujillo says, hi, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Much love. Thank you, not Allie. Laura? It might be Lori
Trujillo. Is that you?
Good to hear from you. And we had a great Christmas and much love to you too. And then Kitty245 says, when life throws us curveballs, how do we reset our intentions? So you come across life on life term. Who knows what that may be? Your emotions get jacked up. Your thoughts go right back to the addictive thinking. How do you reset at a moment like that when the emotions and the stress is at maximum?
Jim says to try swinging with a crooked bat. Thank you, Jim.
I had to have PTA on my mirrors for a long time after I got clean, and there's two meanings to that: pause, think, and then act. And then I have to remember patience, tolerance, and acceptance of the fact that I'm in this position to begin with.
Pause, think, act. I think is probably is awesome. Once you feel that, because it's usually a spike in your heart rate, you get a drip, a dose of adrenaline. Your palms may get sweaty. You start getting panic attacks. That when you feel that episode come on, it's time to hit pause. Go take a break, go sit in the bathroom, go somewhere alone and think. Pause, think it through, calm down. And we talked about this before, that when those emotions, hormonal emotions happen, the adrenaline hits, right? It takes 3 to 5 minutes for that stuff to wear off. It's like water going through a filter. It really is, because those hormones release out of your mind and your brain, and they go into your system, and you have to wait a certain amount of time for them to run their course. And so the longer you pause and think, the easier it is to be able to make a great decision to act upon. So always do that. Pause, wait for those emotions to subside, calm down, call somebody, chill out for a minute, and then act. Explain that other meaning for PTA, Bill.
Patience, tolerance, and acceptance. If you've been around for a while, when newcomers come in and they're exhibiting all the behaviors that you're finally starting to get past, sometimes they're exhibiting behaviors that are still a part of you that you're not okay with. And so you have to exert some patience, be tolerant of their behavior, and then accept them for who they are right where they're at.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that also deals with like dealing with people that aren't in recovery. We have to have patience and tolerance and acceptance, because just because we're choosing to live this way doesn't mean the people that we're coming around are living that way. And like you were saying about the other one, my first thought, and when I'm really emotional, is not usually the right thought. So the pause, think, call someone, ask for some advice, and then act after all that has calmed down has really helped me. And Bill taught me that I can restart my day over as many times as I need to. And if the anxiety goes up and comes down and goes up and comes down, just keep stopping and praying and, take a time out. Tracy's time out. My little teepee.
So Teeter's kind of going through that. He's preparing for an upcoming move. He put the deposit down for a new place on Thursday. So that's a good stress to have. I always look at those, Teeter, if you're looking for any advice about this, the stress you're about to go through, is the necessary messes, right? To clean your house really good, you usually make a bigger mess to begin with. And that's a necessary mess. If you have to restructure your life and get up out of bed earlier to accomplish more things in your life, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur or whatever, that's a necessary mess. Just think of the benefits that you're going to receive, like you're getting 150 more square feet out of this new place. It's going to be a little bit bigger and better for you and Andrew. And so, yeah, we're here for you, brother. So reach out if you get too stressed out.
I think they need a joke.
And if you're not stressed out enough, I'll send you some memes.
Like says he has a joke.
Oh,
What type of music do balloons hate?
what type of music do balloons hate? I don't know.
Pop.
They hate pop music.
And understandably so.
Good night, Matt
Night,
Crabtree. Thank you very much for being here. Bill said, or PD says, great advice, Bill, because I can see myself in just about every newcomer, and it's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
True that. And our last question from the Discord is from our very own JV.
Oh,
He says, outside of the 12 steps and perhaps SMART, what other forms of recovery do you find to be most successful for those looking for recovery from addiction, from alcoholism, drugs, gambling, or other addictions?
Well, I'll go right off first. RA. Oh my God. Relapse prevention, and then having our local program, we're very blessed, because being able to go and work out with people that have the same mindset and then share your day and it be 5 days a week, has been huge. Some other things, because I work in recovery, that, I believe in all pathways. Dharma is another pathway that a lot of people use for recovery that's not 12-step based. Can you think of others?
well, it says right in the book that this is not the only way for people to recover. All it really says that you need is a spiritual awakening that sets you on a path to spirituality. I know for me, when I got clean, I probably went to every church in the Ogden area looking for some sort of spirituality, and I did not find it in a church. I I went to my first Native American sweat lodge and talked to a medicine man, and we went in there and he worked on me, and I come out of that place feeling better than I'd ever felt in my whole life. Like I had just lifted everything off of my shoulders and I was okay. So it's a form of spirituality that works for you. That's what you have to find.
Yeah, I agree. I think we always say that the opposite of addiction is what? Connection. And so if you seek out anything, it doesn't even have to be recovery related, but if you're going to a place where people have a little bit higher moral standards and you can connect and become a part of that group, whether it be a photography group, a church group, it could be bird watchers, you know, people that are ski enthusiasts, whatever. But you go around a bunch of people who won't compromise their mental state by using drugs, and they're not going to go and rob people, but they're doing things to be successful. Go put yourself around those people. Birds of a feather flock together. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. You want to start making money and be a millionaire? Go hang out with people who are business minded and millionaires, and they'll start rubbing off on you. And that goes with anything that we do. And I think if you can just put yourself in a place, in a position like that, that you'll succeed into becoming a better version of yourself that you want to be.
And crazy statistic, but if you include physical fitness into your recovery plan, it reduces your rate of relapse by 95%.
95% if you get off the couch
95%.
and exercise, y'all.
I've been being told that since I first got into recovery. You have to focus on the 3 prongs.
Yep.
You have to have spirituality, you have to have body, and you have to have mind. All 3 of those have to be exercised every day in order for you to have a full recovery.
Amen to that. Yeah. Linky's got a quote. You're welcome, Jamie.
All dreams come true
You're welcome,
if
Maya.
we have the courage to pursue them.
Absolutely.
Good old Walt Disney.
You're welcome, Ingrid. Thank you for being here. Damn, 95%. Whoa.
Yeah, crazy. When I read that, I was like, holy cow.
It's awesome. Like we did this the other day in our group. We all went and worked out. We went into our little room where we meet and sit around in the circle in chairs. We just paused for a second and enjoyed the way that we feel. It's been referred to as a runner's high, right? You get the good endorphins that drop and calm your body down. Your body releases natural pain reliever. The sweat, you're getting poison and toxin out of your body. And we just sat there, and you really do, after a good workout, sit there for 20 minutes and just be self-aware of what your body is physically feeling. It feels good. I've never gone to the gym. I've always gone to the gym wishing I'm not going, but I've never left the gym and said, I wish I didn't go ever.
And that could go back to Kitty's question too. What's something that you can do when you're in a lot of emotions and a lot of stress? I tell you what, if I get some exercise in, then my body finally releases all that and calms me down. And then I can think more clearly. And I just feel better overall.
Yeah, me too.
I still mountain bike a lot. I don't get on the dirt trails as much, but I get on my bike and just ride until I can't ride anymore. And the endorphins and everything that's kicked in, whether I was in a bad headspace or not, when I get home, that's all doesn't matter anymore. I feel better.
It seriously just cleanses you. Like I've noticed that I'll have a crappy day and I won't even physically feel good, but 6 o'clock hits, we do our workout. And I usually, if you see me quiet at the gym during our workout, I've had a rough day and I'm just trying not, if you're not going to say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I just stay quiet until the workout's over. And it just seems to be a freaking reset. It's like cleaning your computer and restarting it when you work out. And that's what I do at 6 every once in a while. It does that for me. And it just, by the time 7's around, I just feel 100% better, ready to be able to be patient, tolerant, and accepting.
Best thing for my PTSD and stuff is yoga. Release those issues from my tissues.
There you go.
That is true. Meditation too, like JV just said. I think Ingrid may have mentioned it and I missed it.
I still meditate better on my mountain bike than anywhere else.
Oh yeah. I love the mountain bike. I can't wait for summertime now. Asia says, eat the fudge, you'll feel better.
Try going without sugar for a little while and then eating some of that. You might not like how you feel.
True. 6:30 hashtag spinning. Oh yeah, John's been working out a lot. It's awesome. I've been seeing his pictures. Never left the gym and said I was upset after I dragged myself. Yeah, you got to drag yourself there and make yourself do it. Terry Crews, I think part of his story, I'm gonna look it up and correct me if I'm wrong, but it took him a while before he started. And Terry Crews, he's the funny guy that's really fit. But he would just take himself to the gym, make himself sit there. And finally he just started working out slowly, and he just made himself go until it happened.
Right.
Cool. I think it's time for us to say a prayer, Linky.
Prayer time.
Right.
Say your prayers and eat your supper.
Hashtag America.
Who are we not? God.
Grant me the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen.
Jamie says headaches. Oh, when she puts sugar, but my taste buds did change. We recovered better together, John says, by staying safe and sane and staying strong and staying sober. You're worth it. Good night, family. I love you all. MC Recovery says, yeah, I got some roller skates for Christmas. It's my 50. I'm rusty. I love roller skates. I'll do that with you.
Do it.
Sheree says, stay safe. And Teeter says, amen. All right. Until
Love
we
you
see you
all.
next year. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll see you in Zoom meetings before then if you're part of the Discord. But until next year, y'all, do not put yourself in a high-risk situation. Stay strong, work your program, and remember,
We recover better together.